Yeah. Is
yeah.
this live?
Well,
no, we're
no.
not live. It's good.
I don't know if that's going to come back.
Trying to reconnect.
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to pour tea. So,
Yes.
people who are just we're about to start the program, but I find that tea was going to be, I hope tea is going to be an essential element of this live program. So, I don't know if that makes any sense. Oh, I should.
Is it specialty?
Yeah. This is,
It's a specialty tea.
this is my specialty.
Don't have a thing against tea. I just
No.
that coffee gets my motor running.
Yeah.
Where it comes from.
And actually, for people listening, this is not an experiment because I've been doing enough podcasting in my life. I'm going to eat while I do the recording. No.
That's the experiment. Huh? We're doing.
Well, the experiment is to mess with the formula a bit, my formula, because lots of shows do something like this. And I find that a lot of what I've done is I'm with one person, and maybe that person does something specific that they're known for, and that's good. I mean, I dig people's passions, but sometimes I also like to. It would be nice to be able to ask people questions that are not related to their passion or life, and so. And the other thing was to have somebody else at the table, and let it be someone else who is from my life, who I think is someone who's a good mind. I keep saying a good mind at the table, and a good voice isn't bad as well. So these are like the bits and pieces that led me to this configuration. And so, hello everyone. We call it realities. Again, I look through the podcast directory all the time. It's so crowded, and even the name realities. There are a few shows that kind of exist that fell asleep in 2013 that have the name something realities. Well, this is Realities Podcast. I don't defend the title in terms of we're going to really explore life, but I do think it's a place where we can learn about things and maybe sort of share and relate to one another. Because, I find that when we really start to talk, we all find a lot of things in common. So we're gathered here today. Me, I'm Mark Fonseca Rendeiro, for people who are listening, and I've got Gabe Mac in the kitchen. Hi, Gabe. And I've got Carine.
Hi.
Carine, am I going full name? Are you protecting your privacy here?
You can go full name, I guess.
Yeah. Carine Middeldorp.
Yeah.
I never say your name. I just write it or
Yeah.
Yeah. And so thanks for coming to my house, Gabe. When I was planning on who's going to come to my kitchen table, I was thinking, I notice your updates every now and then, and I see a little bit about what you're up to. Carine, you and I see each other all the time.
Yep.
So I also know what you're up to and what you're curious about. So I thought it would be a fun combination to make, the three of us. So to introduce just a little bit some of the topics today, one, I wanted to talk about us a bit. Not to make it completely biographical. And I'm very fascinated about how we change as the years go on. I sit around looking at how my life changes, and I'm sort of, how long has it been?
Yeah. Wow.
And at some point, what's that?
It goes by in a flash, and you didn't even realize it.
Yeah. We definitely have to talk about that. Yeah. But you do a lot in the time that you've got. It's just that you lose track of it, I think, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think sometimes you have to just stop and look back a little bit and think, oh, wait, yeah, that just happened, all of that. But if you just keep going, you won't realize, I think.
I think there was a saying, actually, riding on the way here, I saw written up on the, not really graffiti, but just one of those wonderful Amsterdam mosaic kind of things that are up there.
Yeah.
And it said, I've traveled more than I can remember, but I can remember more than I've traveled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also the famous one that, had a friend over from America, so I was giving a little walking tour, and the one that always gets people going is when I bring them over to the Maxeoplein and I show them the Homo sapien non urinat inventum. sign.
Don't pee here.
The thinking man doesn't piss into the wind.
Oh.
And I think that's a really good one for today's topic, about the thinking man does not piss into the wind. That's
Yeah. So some of the topics that I also want to hit on today include elements of education. And one of those reasons is, Gabe, you, for over a decade now, you've been teaching in this country. So we're in the Netherlands, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. This dining room table or kitchen table is in Amsterdam. And so, Gabe, you've been teaching game design. Tell me about some of the subjects.
Everything from game design, film, television, presentation technique, virtual reality, augmented reality, new media, let's just say. So anything that has to do with a screen, whether it's a TV or a video game, basically. Yeah. And I've been teaching since now it's 17 years, since 2000.
Yes.
It's an easy one to remember for me.
Yeah, exactly.
And the main thing, and I've seen a lot of changes happen over the years. I mean, the internet really changed education in the last 20 years dramatically.
Yeah.
Drastically. And most lawmakers haven't even caught up to that.
Yeah, because I was about to ask, did the, when you started teaching, you were probably teaching about different topics than you are now.
Actually, the reason why I got hired as a teacher was because this was a moment in the media world where everything was going digital. It used to be film and analog. Yeah. And so when I went to school in Utrecht, I saw that they had these computers, but they didn't really have any teachers to teach you how to use the computers. But I'm like, well, they've got the tools. I'm going to go figure it out. So I figured out how to use all these things like After Effects and stuff and Premiere that are now basically the synonymous for doing digital film. And so I learned it. And then I started teaching other students how to do it as a workshop exchange.
Yep.
And they asked me, would you like to come back and teach this stuff? Because we don't have anybody to teach it. And that was in 2000. So that's 17 years ago. This entire industry of film industry has gone under a digitization.
Yeah.
And the tools and the distribution, everything. And that's happened over literally the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
I mean, like that.
Yeah.
And that's why I got hired, is because I saw this change coming and I taught myself the tools, and I've been teaching students that since, basically.
The right place, the right time.
Yeah.
Well, and the right skills.
The right skills.
Very important.
And that's the weird thing about, or I find weird about how life has gone. 2000, you're already starting to teach. I meet you in 2005 or 6 because I started podcasting in 2004, and it didn't take long before the few who were doing anything related to audio or video podcasting found each other in this town, on this continent, in this world. Yeah, in this world, really, because we weren't limited to this continent. As a matter of fact, many people listening are probably in the U.S. and we're like, hey, Gabe,
I remember that guy.
Yeah, I was just having a conversation. Oh, anyway, there's so many people in my life that know you or used to do things in common with you. Now they've all moved to something else, and that's kind of maybe where we're going. Back in those days, though, this doing audio podcasts, doing video, not just podcasts or blogs, but also the editing techniques, the approach, it was still like, I don't know, does that have a future? It was kind of like when blogging was doubted.
Vlogging is like that's a new trend in news. It's like, oh, Dutch vloggers are now, and they're just doing pranks and stuff. And I'm like, is this what we work so hard towards?
Yeah.
Pretty much. No.
Well, thought it was going to change the world.
And that's the weird thing about.
I think.
Yeah.
I think that, if they're just catching on to it, they're still where you guys were years ago, and they've just figured it out now. So
that's how it is.
Maybe years from now, they'll be doing
Years from now, years from now, they're going to be doing what I'm going to talk about today.
Yeah, there you go.
Futurist.
So listen in.
Futurist.
If you want to know.
Yeah. But so it is a weird scene because in the last over decade, well, it's more than a decade, 2004 with the whole podcasting, video blogging, and now 2017, we've seen. I'm still wondering if we're still ahead of the curve. At one time, we were. I would say we were some of the few. If you wanted to do this, you needed perhaps to talk to us, or we could help you for sure. And now we arrive at this time where, for me, Gabe, it's not very clear if I'm ahead of any curve. Everybody's doing it. Some of them know the techniques. Some of them don't. You just hire somebody who does, or
you use your iPhone.
Yeah, it's become a lot easier anyway. So we used to spend a lot of time finding workarounds for doing this because there weren't yet tools invented. And nowadays,
yeah.
And nowadays you don't have to know. You don't have to know. So fine. I'm complaining a little about life, but I think it puts me, it puts you in a weird position because that which you do well, not including teaching, is not necessarily in demand, or the value of it is a whole other,
Now you know what those NASA engineers feel like.
How so?
What they do is not in demand. They all got fired. We don't need to go to space anymore, but
yes,
unless you get a job with SpaceX. I mean,
right,
it's a
right. You have to go
bad
find the
joke
new
and analogy, but I mean, in the sense, it's true. I mean, there's a lot of redundancy that happens, and that's also a huge part of education. Is trying to understand how are you going to prepare these kids to have a job for the next 50 years rather than a job when they graduate in 5.
Well, but yeah, I think when you ask this question, you say excluding education, and I think that's a bit of an unfair exclusion because part of what you are doing is this education, right? Because you do know the skills and you do know how you should be doing it in theory.
Yeah.
And sure, they'll probably use it in some way that you didn't even think about, but that's how that goes. I think part of the role is this education, and you can prepare them for something which, you don't know what's going to be there in 10 years. But
no, we don't know.
50 years, maybe 10 years, but not 50.
Yeah, but when you, I mean,
knows.
even 50, like the reason why I say 50, I think going back to Sir Ken Robbins, who talks about if you look at the age at which people retire, 65, generally that's about 50 years from when they graduate high school. And schools are made predominantly to prepare you for a job. That's the reason why we go to school, so we can go get a good job.
Yeah.
And yet, if you look at it, there's absolutely no way you can be taught what you need to know for positions and companies or in businesses that haven't even been invented yet. I mean, there was no such thing as a social media marketeer when I was going to school, and now there's actually courses for, social media marketing.
Right.
Or 3D printing, I mean, all of these new technologies and things are coming out at such a rapid rate that there's no way we can really understand or know what kind of jobs are going to be there in the future. So why are you teaching skills, root skills, which really have no basis for keeping someone employed for the next 50 years?
So then would you say it's not so much about the skills, but about the way of thinking?
It's totally the system. The system is wrong at the moment. The system is a legacy system that we've got from the industrial age.
Yeah, that and look, people expect you to go to school. Right?
Yeah.
Families, we've lived
babysitting.
Behavior training. Not every family thinks of that, but like I think each of us grew up in a time where, regardless of what you were going to study, families said, "Well, you're going to get a college education or university education because you need it to live because." But there's also that social expectation. Obviously, I'm teaching sociology these days, so this is really fresh right now. But it's the. I don't have any children, but when you're raising kids and you're like, all right, I want them to be the best prepared for the future, so university is the thing.
Well, yeah, you supposedly you get you get paid more if you have a university degree,
right?
And the jobs you're likely to want to apply for, they're going to ask, where's your
Mm-hmm.
Where's your eye
Right.
reaction?
So it's not. It's
about ticking boxes.
Yeah.
In a way. But I did not study media, but
What'd you study?
well,
Sorry.
good question. I studied. I did a bachelor's in general culture sciences, is what it's called. It's a translation from the Dutch, but it's kind of a multidisciplinary look at the cultural field. So I did sociology, but I also did a bit of copyright and art history, and it's very diverse. And I loved it. It was great. But it's not a tool. It's not a skill. There's not. You don't come out of it and think, "Yep, that's the job." That's an exact fit for what I'm going to do. And then I did anthropology after that, which was, again, great, amazing, loved it. But it's not. I don't have an exact vocation because of it.
That's
so
also
it's just thinking.
It's also a big of a difference, I think, between university and school.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
up till K through
Yeah.
12, let's say.
Yeah.
K to 12, you got to get your root stuff done. And then when it goes to university, that's when you're supposed to expand on stuff. And it's almost like, it's strange because you look at the curriculum and how the curriculums are created. Like in curriculum university, it's not like the school is telling me what I have to teach. They're just like, can you teach editing? And I have to go find the books and, everything to explain to my students how to do that.
Yeah.
Usually if you're in high school, depending on which country you're in, there's already the standardized, the exercise book that you get, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think that, and of course, if you go to Montessori school, they don't have any of that. They just have books. And I think that those are three extremely different approaches. Because one approach, mainly the workbook approach, is all about trying to make you proficient in these standardized tests.
Right.
That's all it's doing. It's trying to essentially turn you into a calculator or a robot.
Yeah.
Into a test taker.
A test taker. Right. The other schools, the Montessori or university typically.
Steiner. Who's he? She.
Yeah.
It.
They actually have more, the tests are more essay based. So it's more about the thought. What is your thought process? What is your intake in all this? And when we see what's happening and what has happened to the workforce over the last 20 years due to robotics and technology and so forth, that is only going to become amplified.
Yeah.
Whereby the workforce is no longer going to be looking for these rudimentary robots at all.
Mm-hmm.
Those jobs are going to be gone. And it's only going to be about who can bring the new shit to light.
Yeah.
So, by example.
By example, you've been in this country a long time.
Exactly. Is that better?
Yeah, sorry. I'm always playing with microphones, people, behind the scenes. I'm moving things. Sorry. Yeah.
So one of the biggest... let's back up a second. What we saw in the early days of the Industrial Revolution with education and labor and factories is Ford, and, kids have, basically a expiration date when they came out, and depending on what their created by date was, that depends on where they are in the educational system. You're 6 years old, you're going to go to first grade. You're 8 years old, you should be in the second grade by now, okay? If not further, et cetera, et cetera. And so basically you see is like this factory, going down the line, way of teaching, which was very much like the industrial age. And then what happened was the robotics came in, and we saw almost the hollowing out of the jobs that were available. So you either would go to a very specialized job, so more your managers and university, students would go and get those jobs, or you became one of the just grunt labor service workers. Mm-hmm. Much more of like going to a garbage industry, so to say. And what you see is almost like a half pipe of basically, if you take all the jobs like this, between skilled workers and not, what was created is almost like this half pipe deflation because of the robotics and technology from the 80s and 90s and noughties, where basically everything in the middle just kind of like dropped out. that's what, they're talking about now. It's like, where's my jobs?
Yeah.
It's all gone to Korea. No, it hasn't gone to Korea. It's been taken over by robotics largely.
Yeah.
Because we didn't need to, man has always been looking for how can we get more man hours in. The horse was the first way to be able to leverage less man hours and more it was horse hours is worth more than 10 guys, right?
Horsepower,
exactly. And it's just been a leveling on of that.
Yeah.
So now we're in the situation where there's a leveling out in the middle, and the biggest change and the biggest revolution is about to hit us, which is machine learning or artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
It has been predicted that artificial intelligence in the next decade, 47% of jobs overall will be lost because of it. 47%. Transportation industry is going to be hit the hardest first.
Yeah.
They say that 67% of people in the transportation industry are going to be losing their jobs within the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the statistics, truck driver is the number one job in the United States.
I think they just elected a president.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All of those people are going to be without jobs because guess what? The robots are going to be driving your car. There, it's,
I never hear about how we're doing in terms of trucking and automation. You always hear about the Google car.
It is
self-driving train.
No, it's gone.
Yeah.
That's the main thing is the truck. The truck. And that single thing, millions of people are going to be out of jobs.
Yeah.
And this is just one sector.
Yeah.
So what we see is that the entire job sector, by the way, guys, if you did vote for Trump or if you voted for the xenophobe, whichever election that is.
Name your country.
It's not the immigrants that are taking your jobs. It's the robots and the artificial intelligence. Those are the things that are taking your jobs. It's not the Mexicans. It's not the Puerto Ricans. It's not the Nicaraguans. It's none of those guys. In fact, those are the guys that are doing the only jobs you don't want to do. All the other jobs are being taken over by AI. All the important calculations, all of the, flight, what did they call it? The inbound flight guys?
Air traffic controllers.
Air traffic control, really? Oh.
All of this stuff is going to be starting to be taken over by artificial intelligence.
A famously stressful job, the air traffic controller. Yet,
I understand that. I can see that.
Yeah.
Many suicides. And
Burnout.
Great, if there's a computer program that can do it better with a better success rate.
Yeah.
Okay. Granted, the AI does get out of control at times.
Yes.
And we can talk about that.
But
what I wanted to bring up is, what do you do? What do you teach when the world of the future, you're no longer calculators, people are no longer needed?
Yeah.
And the two key things that the researchers say and people say is, okay, the one thing that computers can't really do well is creativity.
Yeah.
Yay. Something for us.
Yeah.
Yay. And in fact, anything creative, actually, if you look at it, when an algorithm goes wrong, which is creativity, it's thought of as a glitch. So computers are essentially very bad at making new creative things. I can tell a computer to add a Vincent van Gogh filter over my picture and it will create a Vincent van Gogh type painting.
Yeah.
But it can't think of creating a Vincent van Gogh style. So what we see in the very near future, those people that have both the logic skill set of being able to understand, ins, outs, and or buts, to understand a little bit of how these algorithms and AI works, plus that creative thought. That creative thought is so essential for us moving forward, because otherwise we're just going to be stuck in an inevitable AI loop and never be able to glitch out again.
Yeah.
So that's basically the basis of it. The future, I'm saying, to sum it up, if we want to save ourselves and we want to save our kids and our kids' employment for the future against our AI overlords, we have to concentrate on creativity. And that is the one thing that I see everywhere.
Yeah.
In education is funds and everything is being cut for that.
But then, so then the big question is also, how do you teach creative thinking?
and how much space is there for the creatives?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in the pipe here. You walk around, every other window is a designer. Everybody's a designer. It's just designers meeting designers.
Yeah.
You live with a designer.
I live with a designer. I know all about that.
We need more designers.
We love Studio Bar. We love Studio Bar.
More designers. There's such bad design in the world, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's also taste, I guess, at times. But yeah. I mean, is there such a thing as too much design? But also, how do you teach
creativity?
Creativity. I think that's an interesting question. But,
Right. It's interesting that a lot of those things. I guess that's.
And how do you know? They have been taught creativity now. They are now creative.
Yes.
Done.
How do you test for creativity?
Yeah. You now get to.
Oh my God! How do we
graduate.
standardize that? Oh my God!
It already exists. It's called the Rorschach test.
Yeah.
Which brings me to our next segment. I'm going to hand out some pieces of paper. I want to hear what you think, and I'll determine if you're creative. No, that would be good to have segments where we draw.
I can
for a podcast. Yes.
I can't tell you how creativity happens in the brain. I don't want to take over the podcast, but I think it is interesting because this is a question I get asked a lot by my students is how do I become more creative?
Oh.
Yeah.
Right? This is
also, I think that's
and when you're teaching that, you're like, I've had that more than once. So I'm like, well, damn it. How do you get more creative? I got to figure this out. I mean, I've been spending the last more than a decade, trying to, I guess most of my life, half my life, trying to figure out. Can you hear it okay?
Yeah. No, it's the construction outside that I almost forget that's constantly happening.
Yeah, that's true. So what is that creative process? Well, if we look at the brain, when somebody is thought of creative, they're actually not creative at all. The process that people have that are thought of as creative, they're able to hopscotch on concepts quicker than other people. Rule number 1, there are no new ideas. Everything is just a buildup of the old.
Everything's a remix.
Everything's a remix.
Yeah.
And so if you understand that, you realize that, think of each of these remixes or each of these concepts as almost like a note that's stored somewhere in our brain. Kind of like hopscotch, right? Where you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and you skip across, right?
Yeah.
Now, someone who is trying to think of a solution, they go jump 1, jump 2, jump 3, jump 4, and it will take them a long time to jump from one concept to the other to eventually get to the solution that's at 5. Now, someone who's creative, they've got a glitch in their brain, much like the computer, whereby they've already hardwired shortcuts. So rather than going from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, they just go 1, 3, 3, 5, right? Or sometimes they'll just go 1 to 5. Because they have a shortcut with the connections of the neurons in their brains, almost like a roadmap where they get, I'm going to take this alleyway here.
Yeah.
And so the question becomes, well, how do you create those little shortcuts?
That's interesting. I'm dyslexic, and it has to do with the wiring of your left brain and your right brain, and how you read. For me, reading is it's actually fine. You practice a lot, but there is that thing that you really have to think about things, and you have to learn to rewire your brain. But you read a lot, or you hear a lot that a lot of dyslexic people are quite creative people. But that's, so I see a big overlap there. And that's,
absolutely.
Yeah. That makes sense to me.
Or people with autism or whatever. There you have these, they have shortcuts. I mean, I'm also dyslexic myself. Yeah. And it just means that I had to read twice as much.
Yeah, that's the same. Yeah.
So when my students ask me, well, what do you do to get more creative? I say, well, there's 3 things you can do. Number 1 is read. Because reading introduces you to new concepts, new ideas. So that's like putting it back in the bank, the reserves. The second thing is travel, right? Because traveling completely changes and exposes you to different environments. And because of that, your brain goes into a survival mode where it starts to also create these shortcuts to try and find your comfort in what you know. It's like, oh man, you're traveling, for instance, and and Middle East, and you're like, damn, I really feel like a beer, man. So you get really creative about how you find your beer.
And you can't revert back to your habits.
Yeah, because
right?
they're not there. Yeah. So traveling definitely does that too. And this is the one that my students always love me for saying, because I'm the kind of teacher that says it pretty bluntly. Drugs. Perfectly honest, LSD, mushrooms. I mean, talk about taking your brain and doing a complete rewire. Yeah. Take a pill, it'll do it for you too nowadays. Yeah. So, I mean, you can say, oh, you can't say that, drugs causes creativity. Well, listen, if
there's a body of evidence that exists.
There's a body of evidence.
Just take 95% of your music, your favorite movies,
your whole bookshelf.
You can get rid of them. There was that famous routine by, what's that comedian again? Not Bill
Hicks?
Bill Hicks, yeah.
Oh.
Bill Hicks has this whole thing about, if you don't like drugs, then get rid of all of your music. Get rid of all of your movies,
Yes.
all this kind of thing. So, yeah, those are the three things that I've discovered to rewire creativity. Reading, travel, and drugs.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's others out there too. Sure. Those I've just found to be the quickest and most efficient. So, yeah. How do you bring that into an educational system, right?
Yeah. I work at a school that sends their students on trips.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I can come up with some ideas, but then you'd have to have some extra funding, probably.
Ah, yes. Yeah, and there comes back to what you were saying about the cuts.
Yeah,
the cuts in the funding.
Yeah, you need to.
But then again,
But there's must be other ways. when I was born, my parents were living in Washington D.C. and my mom was driving, like a bus, a little van, with kids from 5 blocks away to the mall, and they'd never been there before. I mean, for them that was a new world, because if you come from a place where your parents don't have the time or the access or whatever to take you from outside of your own context, then 5 blocks away is a new world and it's traveling, so it doesn't have to be expensive.
What was that, like a program for getting kids out of?
Yeah, like underprivileged kids.
Okay.
And that is rising. The number of underprivileged kids, not because they don't have money, just because their parents both have to work.
Yeah,
have to work.
Exactly.
Yeah,
they just don't have the
society economy.
Yeah, it's not like they don't. That nobody grants them the time is what it is. That's they just don't have the option to give them that time.
Yeah,
and their worlds are shrinking too.
Do you notice that with the kids you teach?
Shrinking, go on a little?
So the physical world of kids is shrinking at a dramatic rate.
Yeah.
In fact, they did a study, I think it was in England, where they asked 4 generations how far they were allowed to travel at the age of 8. I don't know if I ever showed you that.
No.
Okay.
So they asked the great-grandfather, the grandfather, the daughter, and the grandson how far from the house they could travel. Now, the great-grandfather, he was able to go, past the street, into town, past the lake, to the edge of the mountain, even halfway up part of the mountain. The grandfather was only able to travel to the lake. The mother was only able to travel to the edge of town. And the great-grandson was only able to travel to the end of the street.
Yeah.
So what we see that the physical world of kids is collapsing in on itself.
Right.
The next time, and this pisses me off to no end as a game designer, because I always have parents coming up to me is like, how do I get my kids off of the game? I say, let them free.
Yeah.
Let them roam free. You don't let them out of the house. They can't even go down to the end of the street, these kids these days. And yet, at the same time, in the virtual world, in Minecraft,
they'll go everywhere.
No boundaries.
True, but
it's completely virtual. To the child, there's no difference whether I can run for miles in Minecraft or I can literally go to the edge of the street on my own.
Oh, okay, but I raise one criticism, which is you don't have to inspire, from what I know, again, you don't have to inspire a child to explore on Minecraft. Matter of fact, good luck keeping them from exploring.
Exactly.
On the other hand, are kids clamoring to go outside and go really far?
Absolutely. I see it
I'm
all
not convinced.
I see. No.
I mean, I'm not convinced. You did not convince me.
The reason why they're not clamoring is because of the fear of the parents. That parental fear is very big. But Tarragon is this area. It's almost like they have a summer
Also an
camp.
herb. Yes.
Herb. A friend of mine, he has this whole nature space out in Osdorp. And he does a lot of summer camps. Yesterday I was there, and so he's always got kids coming over and doing stuff, and is basically running around in nature with literally machetes and stuff like that.
That's Amsterdam, or at least outside Amsterdam.
Yeah, exactly. And the kids love it, of course.
Here's your machete.
Here's your machete.
Good boy.
Just don't chop any of the houses, but you can chop any of the wood. We have a rule.
Don't chop each other.
No, yeah, it's basically anything goes at Tarragon, Niets moet, alles mag. Nothing has to, alles can.
Yeah.
And man, those kids, they're not running towards the computer at all because they're given the freedom out in the nature. They're just running around and exploring like crazy. Of course they will.
Yeah.
That's what children do. Take them to the playground. You don't see them sitting at the playground waiting for their iPad to recharge. No, they jump and run around on the swings. That's what kids do. But the fear, also greatly towards the internet and the amount of information of child kidnappings and stuff, is that we can't let our kids out of the house or they're going to get penalized. And that is the exact reason why these kids are going into these virtual worlds to get that same development.
Sense of freedom and
So now we have an entire generation that's been growing up with virtual friends, virtual worlds.
Right. Well,
as the base.
Yeah.
So what did you think about Pokemon Go then?
For a second there. Yeah.
I knew it was going to be big. In fact, I think, Mark, you even remember a sweepstake I did about a year or two before, which is a location-based sweepstake for...
Yes. Yeah. And before that, you were very excited about Layer.
Yeah.
If I may go back reality. To a term. Yeah. Where you just pick up the phone, device.
I don't know this. Okay.
And then, it was the early form of you can see
you can
others.
see what's called augmented reality. Yeah. So if I take my phone and I move it around like this, instead of seeing, for instance, the picture of the 27th Studio Bar Amsterdam, you would see a picture of me instead.
Okay.
Right? Or you would see little animals running around on the table.
It's a little bit like a Snapchat filter idea.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's like a Snapchat filter. Yeah.
Okay.
Snapchat filter is augmented reality. Yeah. And this is just, tracking back in the day.
Yeah.
And even that I was using to try to... Now, here's the interesting thing. Getting to that Snapchat and getting to this education.
Yeah.
How do we create interesting education with these new tools? And what I found is creating the simulation. The tools really allowed us to create simulations whereby you can explore, you can experiment in a safe environment.
Yeah.
So, for instance, for my presentation technique, I used Layer with my students. Presentation technique in art school is when you learn how to pitch an idea, but you also have to set up an exhibition space, and curate, essentially. So what I had with my students is I would take them to, the Rijksmuseum or the Stedelijk Museum or something like that, local museum, and I would give each team a different room in the museum, and they would have to put up their own augmented reality curation exhibition, whereby they swap out the Nachtwacht of Rembrandt or whatever with their own videos or pictures or whatever. So then we would go in and walk around in the actual museum, looking through our phones or goggles or whatever, and curating and saying, oh yeah, this is a very good exhibition. I like how you did this here and this. And no one around us understood what the hell we were talking about.
Because they probably couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And so this was a way in which I was literally able to create for my students an exhibition at the top museums in the world.
Yeah.
And they were allowed to experiment how that would be. To have that space and use it and to do it. And as a subsequent side effect is that I take a little bit of pride in knowing that my students have virtually tagged so many masterpieces all over the world now.
Yeah.
That it's just like, graffiti is just flying on this other level. So there you see, how you can use these tools to create these simulated environments in the real world as well. It's getting really interesting. I mean, the tools for teachers are becoming great for really pushing out and trying new stuff.
Yeah.
And do you, you're still using that when you're teaching now?
Sometimes.
And do you think that can expand, like other teachers? Because you obviously teach in this field, but I'm assuming that there are other fields which could benefit from this. And do you see that people are eager to pick that up?
If you look at something just as simple as Minecraft EDU, yeah, I think so. There are.
I haven't.
You haven't heard of that?
I've played lots of Minecraft.
Oh, you haven't heard of Minecraft EDU?
EDU?
Yes, Minecraft.edu is actually totally free for, at least it
all the
used to be.
parents out there already know about this. But
Exactly. No, there's a lot of teachers who are uploading levels and worlds as class curriculum.
Wow, okay.
So as a teacher, you can go and you can download these different levels and stuff and start teaching kids all about everything from forestry to, you name it.
The physical world.
The physical world, right. I mean, I was teaching, I remember teaching 8-year-olds trying to teach, well, actually, I wasn't trying to teach them at all. They were teaching me about quantum physics. Entanglement theory and all this kind of stuff. There was a mod that Google made that basically creates entanglement theory inside the bricks so you can understand about quantum mechanics and quantum physics.
Cool.
Yeah.
Using Minecraft.
Yeah.
With freaking 8-year-olds, dude.
8-year-olds, dude.
What are they going to be doing in 10 years?
Exactly. I mean, so in that sense, that's why the kids these days, if we would
Kids these days,
they're going to go beyond anything that we understand or do, because we're still so in this physical world, the industrial age, going down the machine line kind of thing, right? And these kids, they're already off in that virtual world talking to their little AI NPCs, non-player characters and stuff, their little Pokemon. This is going to just be the next step for them. We have to get more out of their way, I say. If we want them to have a future, if I look at the classes that the kids are getting compared to the games that they're playing at home, I see that the games that they're playing at home are preparing them more for the future than the classes that they're going to.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Well,
At the moment. I'm not saying that that's, right or wrong.
Yep.
I'm just saying right now.
That's where it is.
That's where it is.
Yeah. Understood.
Well, yeah, because you're saying that these kids, they're going to be, they're working on the next thing that they're going to, well, what you were saying before, remixing, 10, 20 years from now, they're going to be remixing, but with building blocks that they are being taught now, hopefully. Mm-hmm. So then I'm not sure how much, we can merge these online worlds and the offline worlds completely, but there must be some offline stuff as well that we feel they need, like parameters maybe, or just tools that are offline that they will be using online, but that we need to
What are the
teach
skill
them
sets that they need?
something or knowledge. I mean, I'm not
How do we
sure.
stay relevant as teachers? And really what we're coming down to.
Yeah. Like, how do you know which ones are the bits they're going to have to need to remix properly without losing touch with
it's
us
the good
now.
stuff and the bad stuff, the healthy food and the junk food.
Kind of.
It's less. Right now is basically if aliens came down to the world, they would look at what we teach in our education system, and they're like, "Why you guys are just concentrating on the front left little part of the lobe of this brain? Where's the rest of this stuff, right?" Yeah. So what I'm saying is right now it's gone totally towards rudimentary, knowledge-based recycling of information, and I think we can all agree. That's gone. Mark just Googled something. Oh, I need to know something.
I confess.
Boom. We got it.
Yeah.
We don't need to remember, when was the war of 1882?
Yeah, exactly.
What we do need to do is we need to understand them, be able to, and this is about it, processing that information, understanding about where your sources are, understanding what is fake news and what's not fake news.
relevant.
That is a skill that I see is not happening.
No.
Yeah. The students are not being told, go and do a report or go and do a test using Google.
Yeah.
How many times do you have a teacher that has said, yeah, you can use your computer for your test?
Yeah. No. I mean, I'm teaching young adults and they're terrible with Google. They're terrible with searching.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. It's that thing of we have all the information at our fingertips, yet we can't find anything. And we're bored, if that's possible. Yeah. And we're bored.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're getting more
You could learn anything right now, but you're bored.
Yeah.
Well, I remember you sometimes had these open book tests. This is
Yeah, I
pre-Google,
do remember
of
that.
course.
Yeah.
And you had open book tests, and those kind of scared me the most. Because then you think, oh, that means,
Yeah.
what
You're
are they
going to have to
expect?
process.
Because
Yeah.
it's not going to be some date they're going to want to know. You really have to understand it completely.
Exactly. You're
And,
really going to understand that
It's
stuff.
kind of like maybe we need another open book test
System, yeah.
Yeah.
system.
I do actually have a different test system that I do in my classes.
Okay.
I've based it on the hole-in-the-wall experiments that were being done.
I remember
in
this
education
name.
system. I forget his name right now. It's a difficult Indian name.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Computer in the wall. He had the computer in the wall. Oh,
right.
love him.
Okay.
computer in the wall.
What is this?
So there was a professor who took, and he was trying to figure out, are computers bad for kids, et cetera, et cetera. And so what he did is he went to, I believe it was India first, and he basically put a computer plastered into a wall.
Yeah.
So they could use it for free, but didn't tell them how to use it or anything. And the results that came back were absolutely staggering. Yes, Dr.
Sugata Mitra.
Sugata
I used to
Mitra.
use his videos in my class. Maybe I'll throw in a clip. He was the one. I mean, this goes back to how you started, so that's a nice little parallel. The both of you being in a similar place. He would do these talks about how the relevance of what we learn in school to life. And how I remember he would say, there was a time where you'd go to school and you learn how to shoot a gun and ride a horse. And you know what? In life, there was a lot of ride a horse and sometimes shoot a gun. All these years later, no one is insisting that we learn how to ride a horse and shoot a gun. There was still a gun club, by the way, when I was in high school. That's another story.
Well, I bumped into this whole thing completely by accident. I used to teach people how to write computer programs in New Delhi 14 years ago. And right next to where I used to work, there was a slum. And I used to think, how on earth are those kids ever going to learn to write computer programs? Or should they not? At the same time, we also had lots of parents, rich people, who had computers, and who used to tell me, my son, I think he's gifted, because he does wonderful things with computers. And my daughter, surely she's extra intelligent, and so on. So I suddenly figured that how come all the rich people are having these extraordinarily gifted children? What did the poor do wrong? I made a hole in the boundary wall of the slum next to my office, and I stuck a computer inside it just to see what would happen if I gave a computer to children who never would have one, didn't know any English, didn't know what the internet was. The children came running in. It was 3 feet off the ground, and they said, "What is this?" And I said, "Yeah, but it's I don't know." So they said, "Why have you put it there?" I said, "Just like that." And they said, "Can we touch it?" I said, "If you wish to." And I went away. About 8 hours later, we found them browsing and teaching each other how to browse. So I said, "But that's impossible, because how is it possible? They don't know anything." My colleagues said, "No, it's a simple solution. One of your students must have been passing by, showed them how to use the mouse." So I said, "Yeah, that's possible." So I repeated the experiment. I went 300 miles out of Delhi into a really remote village where the chances of a passing software development engineer was very little. I repeated the experiment there. There was no place to stay, so I stuck my computer in, I went away, came back after a couple of months, found kids playing games on it. When they saw me, they said, "We want a faster processor and a better mouse."
And with the hole in the wall thing, what I thought was really interesting was how he researched how kids were learning. And mainly it's how kids were learning in a group. So this was something that I started to try and really facilitate in my school or my classroom is really to try to push not necessarily me as the teacher, but more the students themselves as the teacher. Now, I can't give 100% free reign like I would like to because, I'm still
have to teach within this institution.
Within this institution, there are rules and regulations and check marks I have to do, unfortunately. And I try to get out of them sometimes. I'll say, okay, this entire class, and I give out a challenge where this entire class will either fail or will pass depending on whether you complete this challenge or not. And the entire class, I've failed entire classes because they weren't able to do what I needed them to do. It's like, you guys got to work it as a team.
Yeah.
It's no longer this individual show thing.
Right.
Tests is one where I also change it up. Tests, I allow for them to use their notes that they made in class. They're also set up in teams. So there's I always make teams of 3 or 4, and they take the test together. And I'll it's like an Excel sheet where I'll call out a question, like a showbiz. Okay, the next question is, who's this guy?
Right.
And they're all and they're all whispering, and there's hushed little arguments and stuff. And then I give them about 30 seconds, like a game show.
Okay.
I make it like a game show.
Yeah.
Okay, who got it right? And I throw out these poker chip coins to the teams that get it right. And then I just basically say, all right, bring your coins up. And I see how well that team did.
Yeah.
Now, here's the interesting thing.
Sounds fun.
It's fun. They don't feel a lot of stress about the test because they can bring in their notes. It's like, hey, if you bring in your notes, that's not a problem. Go ahead. Sure. And I say, someone's like, oh, I need to, can I check the internet? And you've only got 30 seconds. By the time you've tried to find it, you either know it or you don't. So,
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that it's the collective consciousness that's being taken in. So even if a student, he might have gotten only one right on that test.
Yeah.
Right. But because they're in a group, that was the one question they needed to go past the passing grade.
Okay.
And even though he only said one thing, he saved that whole team. Vice versa, when I test that student later, he's actually remembered more because of the test and getting that feedback in those discussions and arguments with his peers than if I was standing up there in the lecture.
Yeah.
Because it's much more engaging, pressure cooking, etc. So I find out just by making that test in that way, the test process itself becomes a teaching process whereby they remember and learn the material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tests should be like pub quizzes.
Tests should be basically my solution to education is
We
gaming.
love pub quiz, so
Gaming.
and
In
we may be
teams. Collaborative.
Yeah.
Collaborative is the key because too much in education is about that singular person, and collaboration is totally out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that IBM was actually taking their designers that they hire straight out of school and putting them in teams to try and unteach the individuality, the individual approach that they take.
Yeah.
So that's
And with the selfies and all that stuff, it's just getting worse.
yeah, it's just about the ego. Yeah.
And I see that also with my students. Like, for instance, they don't know how to have a conversation like this, or this would be a totally stressful situation for many of my students, to be able to have a conversation on the fly.
Yes.
And not text back and forth.
Right.
Because to them, every interaction, I think it was...
I can't handle talking on the phone.
Yeah, I know.
I've lost the skill.
I mean, texting, it's all text, short text. You can think about what you're about to say. You can come back in a time. If somebody says, hey, what do you think of this?
Yeah.
And you don't have the time to go to the bathroom to think, oh, well, what do I think about this? I think it's great. No, I don't. I think it's awesome. No, I think it's smiley face. Yeah, that's the one I want to do. Now, I can't do that in a conversation. It's like, change up 3 times. It'll look like an idiot in their mind, So we're seeing that also the skills, interaction skills are also changing. And this is something that as teachers, we have to introduce back in.
Yeah.
We have to introduce interaction on a physical and real level, non-digital level between these students.
Right.
And those test moments are one. That's an example.
Huh.
Yeah, so your job also kind of as a teacher is to put them into situations which
Social
they feel
anxiety.
uncomfortable.
Totally.
So therein lies a sort of question mark for you, for anyone working in teaching. Not only, what's happening, what's going to happen, what are we doing wrong, but even just the individual, your future. You like to teach, you're good at teaching, but the institutions are on a different page when it comes to how they see you, how they value your work, right? And what drives me nuts, and I think you have this also, Carine, with the work that you want to do, where you would really excel. It's that the value of you and what you bring to the table, depending on who you're talking to, fluctuates. Someone whatever organization may talk to you and say, well, yes, you have good ideas, but we don't really want to, we can't take you on. And then someone else might say, no, what you bring to the table is worth a full, a salary that you could live on, or better, you could save money. So I can't make heads or tails, honestly, I'm trying, but of what value, not only as a teacher, as a creator, as a thinker, I have going forward. I used to think it would only go up, right? Experience, confidence.
I think it's the other way around. I think that teachers are going to start asking themselves very soon, what does this institute have to offer me? You can, as a teacher, I've made a bunch of different curriculums over the years, like my layer in the museum.
Yeah.
Now there's tools out there, such as Udemy, YouTube, where I put my courses online. First of all, it was for my students, so they have their online course notes.
Yeah.
But now I'm starting to earn more money from just my online courses than from my actual teaching.
Huh.
So now I actually have other online course websites coming to me and say, hey, we'd really like your content. We want to put them up on our course.
Yeah.
And I asked them, okay, well, what are you going to give me? What kind of affiliate and marketing deals do you guys have going to make sure that it's going to get paid and stuff?
Yeah.
So now, all of a sudden, that whole idea of I go to an institution like MIT or something like this so that I get a good education, that whole thing is about to crumble down around them, and they haven't got a freaking clue. The teachers themselves are going to start to become these educational stars, like your Tony Robbins. Basically, that's what education is going to. It's about people who know how to. Tony Robbins is the perfect example.
I wish I could do an impression. I can't.
No.
Yeah, go. I don't have the deep enough voice. But
wait, did he sell stuff as well?
Yeah, he sold stuff.
Bee
as well.
dialing. Who's the bee dial? Bee dialing, and the number. Anyway.
Oh yeah, exactly. But so yeah, that's how I see it. I see that the institutions are going to start to drop, much like we saw with the video blogging and stuff, where you get these PewDiePies, but then it's going to be a PewDiePie educator, somewhere out in Hong Kong, and everybody's going, oh, did you grab the last lesson from Hong Kong Poods?
But I think the online courses, isn't it also that yes, you're saying that there's only a few that are making it, but that's also because before there was a smaller crowd of people online, but I feel like there are so many more online courses now, and they're becoming so just normal to do these online courses, that because there are more people taking them, there's more space for more people to be making them, selling them, being superstars.
Yeah.
And right now, the only thing that's really holding that back is the idea of accreditation.
That's one. Yeah, that's being found is another.
Being found is pretty easy. I think that if you're looking, if you're looking for a good course or whatever, short YouTube browse will lead you to someone's like,
more dominant.
Yeah, I understand this guy. This is good. I get it. Okay,
right.
I'll buy his course.
Right. So it's going to be dominant.
It's a hell of a lot easier than going through all those college applications.
Fair enough. Yes.
Okay, let's be honest. Yes. I mean, did I get in? Did I not? Well, it doesn't matter. I can click on a button and I can get into any college I want nowadays. It's called iTunes School, right?
Right.
iTunes U. So that really is also a huge shift. None of these educational systems have any clue that's coming up.
For the Facebook Live, I might bring this to an end, but I'll wait if you guys have anything to add.
Oh, yeah, I do have one. I'm going to do a shout out for my channel.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
So I started a quick, if you like games, but you don't like the shoot 'em up games, but you want to play games that are interesting and fun, everything from what it's like to be a border control guard to trying to look after a baby, check out my channel GMVR on YouTube or GMVR TV. I play games every day with my clinically depressed friend so that he doesn't kill himself.
Fair enough.
Or every Monday. Not every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put a link, and maybe I can put in some
Clips.
sound in.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Carine, anything that we didn't? Yeah.
Oh, you can go into so much more detail.
I know.
You know.
Was this all
Let's
right
leave it
as a conversation exercise with microphones?
I dominated. I'm sorry.
No. I thought it was good.
All right. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. It's really fun to give this a try after so many years of doing things in a certain way. And I'm glad that it could be the two of you. Thanks for listening, for watching. And the website is realitispodcast.com. You can subscribe. It's in any podcast directory. And there will be another episode at this kitchen table. And as guests now, you are welcome at any time to return to the kitchen table. At some point, I may run out of microphones, but I will figure it out with the help of the audience. And maybe my parents. No.
I think we've got 2 more microphones. So
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, crowdsourcing the microphone
There you
thing.
go.
I've
Bring
got
a
few
mic
more.
to
Yeah.
Mark's house.
Bring up my.
All right. Thanks everybody, and talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.